How are you? Yes.
Now I will go back home and so many things to do back home.
That the African Union Commission seat is a poisoned chalice for Kenya is not in doubt. Tonight on The Perspective, I explain to you why Kenya has faced significant setbacks at the global stage. Ready to find out? Let's get started. The late Raila Amolo Odinga defeat in the race for the chairperson of the AU seat was the latest chapter in a series of setbacks Kenya has faced on the continental and global stage over the past decades. Kenya has had moments of success on the global stage, such as Dr Mukhisa Kituyi appointment as the Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, in 2013. However, the trend since 2017 doesn't make for the best reading. Kenya lost to Chad in the AUC race, and that marked the beginning of a troubling pattern, one characterized by internal divisions, diplomatic miscalculations, and a lack of a strategic coherence.
Yule amepoteza Addis Ababa sio Raila Odinga, ni William Samoei Arap Ruto.
Kenya's struggles in the continental stage did not begin last year. It has been a recurring occurrence for years. One of the most notable figures in this series of defeats is former Cabinet Secretary Ambassador Amina Mohamed, whose bids for top continental and global positions ended in disappointment despite significant government backings. In the year 2017, Amina Mohamed was Kenya front-runner for the African Union Commission chairmanship. The government mounted an extensive campaign pouring an estimated $3.5 million into the endeavor. Yet, despite these investments, she lost to Chad Musa Faki Mahamoud. After her defeat, she attributed the loss to betrayal by unnamed neighboring countries, hitting at Kenya's fragile regional alliances.
I think those the concerns that have been raised, they would not have been raised if they did not have solid reason to raise them.
Undeterred, she tried again in 2020 for the position of Director General of the World Trade Organization. Once again, she had the full backing from Uhuru Kenyatta-led administration, but her campaign was short-lived as she was eliminated in an earlier round, eventually paving way for the Nigerian Gozo Ikonji-Iweala to clinch the seat.
Need an institution that can promote a rules-based system.
Sources in Geneva suggested that Amina Mohamed bid fell victim to Kenya-owned trade policies at a time while Africa was pushing for a unified market under the African Continental Free Trade Area, ASFTA. Kenya was seen as pursuing different bilateral agreements, particularly on the United States. This apparent contradiction weakened her support within the continent. Amina Mohamed debilitating defeats and Kenya broader struggles highlight one major recurring issue: a failure to align diplomatic ambitions with effective strategy. Beyond high-profile individual bids, Kenya has also faced disappointments in securing key international institutions on home soil.
On Sunday, beat Kenya and Egypt in the race to host the Secretariat of the Africa Free Trade Zone at the extraordinary Africa Union meeting held in Niamey, that's in Niger.
The country's unsuccessful attempt to host the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat 9 years ago was a case in point. Kenya embarked on a full-scale diplomatic charm offensive, positioning itself on the ideal location to host the headquarters of Africa's ambitions of the Free Trade Zone. However, despite Kenya efforts, the bid was won by Ghana. Cast your mind 4 years back in 2022. The then Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo launched her candidacy for the presidency of International Fund for Agricultural Development, an institution that plays a crucial role in global food security and rural developments. Had she been successful, she would have become the first woman to lead IFADs since its inception in 1977, but she lost, and despite weeks of silent government lobbying, Rachel Omamo lost to Alvaro Rario of Spain, who secured an overwhelming majority of votes from delegates in Rome. Experts argue that the reason why Kenya loses on the global stage is risky approach, sending large political entourage, giving the wrong impression that the race is about domestic political ambitions rather than genuine desire to serve Africans' interest. Diplomatic showmanship vis-a-vis quiet lobbying. Continental diplomacy thrives on quiet, calculated maneuvers, backroom deals, strategic alliances, and silent but steady persuasion define multilateral elections. Kenya approach often appear overly theatrical, turning serious diplomatic contests into noisy political campaigns. Another factor is about geopolitical challenges. Kenya's geopolitical position, particularly its stance on key international conflicts, may have contributed to majority of the losses. The country balancing of alliances has drawn criticism for failing to align with the prevailing mood of the African continent, thus making African Union Commission for Kenya a poisoned chalice. For the news at 9 p.m, the special report. Reporting for the evening edition, I'm Kagunda Kelvin.